If I could figure out how to do sound, including all of this, and I think I know how. It just now dawned on me that I think I know how. I would be playing Time Has Come Today by the Chambers Brothers. Why? Because time has come today. Another episode. Your Security Guys 2.0 is up and running. We're gonna do something a little different. I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to find out. But and that has to do with we're going to and I'll tell you forewarning, right? We're going to be looking at the video of the In-N-Out Burger active killer in Idaho. And then we're going to analyze it. What can you learn from that? If you're a copper, you already know probably. But what if you're not a copper? What can you learn from that video to better protect your world? And that's what we're all about here at Your Security Guys, the information and tools you need to better protect your world. But first, I want to tell you about a couple of interesting stories that impact us, US, which means, of course, they impact you in some way or another. And the first one comes out of Thailand. You see, Thailand last week had a active killer. What? What is that, Rush? You can't be serious. That doesn't happen in any places other than the United States. Au contraire, my friend, it happened in Thailand last Friday, 4 days ago. 5 people dead, several others wounded at a quote prestigious high school outside of Bangkok. I'm not entirely sure what that means. All 5 of the dead were teachers at the school, and the individual, of course, was a teenager. He lived with his grandparents. He then did the right thing by turning the gun on himself, died en route to the hospital. But again, as always, there were conflicting reports as to how many people were killed and injured. But we know for sure 5 dead, upwards of 22 people injured, 9 of them in critical condition. 3,100 students in the school, 150 teachers, founded the school by Thailand's royal family. They, of course, now are going to think about engaging in gun control. I do not know what the laws are in Thailand. I did work with a colleague from Thailand for a couple of years in early, or not early, but midway through my teaching career. And so, I mean, he never said anything about this one way or the other. He did say something interesting that I may share with you when it's appropriate. But the point I want to stress here, and you all already know that if you've paid any attention to the news, and if you'll recall, we say this all the time at Your Security Guys, you need to be aware of what's going on in your area, in your city and county, in your state, your region, across the country, and around the world. And the takeaway here is this can happen anywhere. Now, to be fair and to be sure, it does not happen all the time. The problem with active killer incidents, schools are a little different, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a minute, is they are relatively rare. They're pretty devastating when they happen. And more importantly, we don't always know when they're going to happen. Now, schools are slightly different in that there is something we call leakage. Many an active killer will let his motivation be known. He will leak his plans, not necessarily intentionally, although many years ago, the school killer at Pearl High School in Mississippi, I think, Illinois. Frankly, I don't remember. I apologize for that. I don't remember whether it was Mississippi or Illinois. It was Pearl. He called some friends because his plan was to shoot up, if you'll recall, at the prayer pole pool. By the way, if you hear a sound, it is the multiple fans we got going, because I don't know what it's like where you are, but where we are, it is hot. We could get Roosevelt on the radio. He talked to Adrian Cronauer in Good Morning Vietnam. We talked to him about how hot it is, but again, we don't have that. I'm not that astute yet. I'm trying to get there. But he called some friends of his, or at least people who associated with him a little bit, and suggested that they not come to the prayer pole the next day. But a lot of these guys, and they're mostly guys, but I use that term to, here I am, denote the whole. They leak their plans. They let stuff out. Some very overt ways, mostly a little covert ways. Your responsibility, if you are the recipient of some of that leakage, is to hear critically, to understand what they're saying or what that might mean, and then tell somebody. And I don't mean post it up on social media, although many people do that as well, because others would then see that and maybe they will understand what's going on. But I mean, call the school, call the workplace, call the cops. Now, I realize that where you might be, the cops may not take your call seriously. And I understand that. There's nothing we can do about that. But if you've done that, you do that, you have done all that you can do. Way too many people kick themselves in the arse. Man, I heard that. I read that. I saw that. He said that to me. And if only I had. Well, what he or she did is not on you either. But if you call the cops and they don't take you seriously, they don't come out, or they don't write a report, or whatever it is that they don't do, that's not on you. Please remember that. Okay? All right, that's number one. Active killer in Thailand. Number two, I read this today. This really bothered me. Now, and it bothered me for really a couple of reasons, but I thought we were over this. Back in the day when I taught juvenile justice, I talk about this all the time. There was a website, publication, I guess you would call it, called WorldNet Daily. Don't know if it exists still or not. I swear I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my timing. I don't sleep well much anymore because, I'm old. But it was called WorldNet Daily. And it was really good. It was right of center, no question about it, particularly in their opinion pieces. But like Fox News used to be, at least, their news reporting was pretty middle of the road, meaning here's what happened. essentially draw your own conclusions. And they had a running total, running articles, if you will, of females who had been at least arrested for sexual impropriety with young boys, mostly young boys, sometimes young girls. And almost nothing ever happened to them. That's another discussion for another time. By the way, if there's anything you want me to talk about, please put it in the comments. As Brian Dawson says with the great 1819 News podcast, comment. I'm drawing a whole blank. I'm drawing a like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. I'll get it right. Forgive me, Brian. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And they had a running total also of zero tolerance crapola, my word, not theirs, that had happened in schools. Give you a couple of examples. Now, this was in, and you'd have to look at the chart. I'm going to say sort of the height of school shootings, but schools were freaking out. Administrators were freaking out. Teachers were freaking out. They didn't bother to talk to too many people. They just created all of these policies that came to be known as zero tolerance policies. Now, you may have heard of zero tolerance policing. Not the same thing, but maybe close. And these zero tolerance policies in school, and I went to a public school, many of your kids go to public school. I have friends who teach in the public school. Oh, I did it again. Please forgive me, guys. You stalwarts, you know, it's not nothing to do with you. That people, educators, look for reasons to throw people out of school. Now, if you're an educator, I'm sorry if I'm wrong or I have a wrong perception. Please comment, let me know, and I'll be happy to share it. I'll be happy to talk with you on the podcast. I think I figured that out. And whatever, I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But by and large, it is easier to get rid of your problem than to deal with your problem. All right. Now that became problematic, which is why we have alternative schools. Worked a lot with alternative school people, and those guys are really good. Most of the people in the alternative schools that I worked with back in the 80s when I was a JPO, they were really, really good. Interestingly enough, very dedicated to the students, but recognized that these kids, for a whole host of reasons, not all of which we had figured out then, had problems. They were not all bad kids, bad youths. Thank you, Cousin Vinny. Now, were some of them bad youths? Absolutely. No question about it. But they all weren't. And these guys that worked in these alternative schools knew that. Now, I don't know what it's like now because I don't work in that area anymore. That space, as people say. But here's a couple of examples over time. Number one, a elementary school kid. So figure what, 7 to 10 maybe. They were asked by their teacher to draw their hero. His hero, for whatever reason, was his uncle who was in the military. And the picture is really kind of cool. And so he drew a picture of a military guy, helmet, backpack, etc. And what else did he put on the picture? did he draw on the picture? Oh, wait. That's right. A gun. Oh, no, a gun. Yes, a gun. And why did he do that? Because military people, at least his understanding of military people, and whether he got that from TV or movies or his uncle, I don't know, they carried a gun. He was asked to draw his hero. He drew a gun on carried by his hero. Yep. Suspended from school, not talked to, not, quote, disciplined, unquote, suspended from school. Another one, middle school, junior high, I think it was called junior high back then. Young lady. This is the news reporting, right? I mean, anybody who wants the the uh, citations, I'll try to find them for you. She was in middle school. She had gotten her first period. And was hurting a little bit, as I'm sure most women do at that time of the month. She was young, first one, little concerning. Her mother gave her some Midol to take as needed. Now, Midol, you'll recall, is, I don't know what it's used for, I guess cramps and other things, but it's over the counter. You can go to Walgreens, you can go into Wally World, you can go into CVS, you can buy it. I don't know that you can now, but you could then. So mom, being a good mom, gives her Midol. She gets to school and simply forgets. I'm sorry, forgive me again. Simply forgets to take the Midol by the school nurse, which was the policy of the school. I got no real serious heartburn with that. Although, again, blanket policies, no matter what the suits tell us, can't cover everything. And I would suggest to you, and again, ladies, girls, if I'm wrong, help me out here. But I would argue that when the pain, the cramping hits, it hits right then, right? I mean, you probably don't feel like walking, I don't know how far down to the nurse, because first you got to get permission to go down the hall, and the teacher may not give you permission, etc. Probably a lot easier to pick it up out of your purse, your pocket, wherever you carry it, and take it, right? She didn't do that, violated the school policy, suspended. Suspended. Well, and there were tons of those. Suspended for bringing nail clippers to school. I mean, unless you're Steven Seagal, what are you going to do with the nail clippers, right? I mean, come on. But anyway, that was happening then. Most of these policies, I would suggest to you, did not get changed, did not get canceled. They just, as so many policies do, they just kind of went out of vogue. New suits came in, new teachers came in, and some of them realized that it was just ridiculous, and the bureaucracy was too difficult to change it. They just didn't enforce it. Oh, they might have had a conversation. Don't do this again. This is a better way of doing it. Ever how they have those conversations. I'd be willing to bet you money. I'd be willing to bet you that if you went to your kid's school and asked to see the student discipline policy, which is probably where this would all be located, you'd find things like that. Act to see the active killer policy, and I'll bet you they don't have one, or I'll bet you they won't let you see it. So, anywho, you get the foundation. This happened in Georgia. 6-year-old son, boy. He is in the first grade. He is 6. Good for him. I didn't know you could be in the first grade at 6, but okay. And he is autistic. Okay. At lunch, at lunch, he had a sandwich. He bit his sandwich into the shape of a gun and pointed it at a classmate. Now, in case you missed it, let me say it to you again. Again, we did the radio show for about 6 years. I'm still trying to navigate the change in medium. Hopefully, I'm doing it well. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. He bit his sandwich into a gun and pointed it at a classmate. Now, number one, I don't know how you do that. I don't know what that would look like. Okay. There are no pictures in the report that I read. And I also would really, frankly, like to know how they know he pointed it at the kid. And the child to whom the sandwich, excuse me, was pointed. I mean, what did he do? He freak out? And if he freaked out, why? Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard this before, let me be the first. We are rearing a bunch of soft people. And some of them play sports, and some of them are in the band, and some of them are in student council. And some of them are in university. Trust me. This is probably going to get me in trouble, but at least that means somebody was listening or watching. Well, we're not yet on Apple and Spotify, but we're moving in that direction. Well, anyway, it's a money thing right now. But anyway, so we're watching Monday nights ANW, American Ninja Warrior, American Ninja Warrior last night because we were day behind. A high schooler, I believe he was in high school, yes. And they've got an interesting thing. They're running groups, they're running 4-day group, and everybody races 3 times. And then that determines whether or not you go forward into the semifinals or whatever they're calling it. This guy, I believe, I know he lost his first one. He lost 2 of them. Okay, he lost 2 of them. He fell 3/4 of the way through both times on different obstacles, but about 3/4 of the way through. So he is running for his life. So he has to do one or both of 2 things. He has to have an incredibly fast time, and he has to win. If he wins, he probably carries over anyway at the time. Okay. But if he has an incredibly fast time, but loses nonetheless, he might very well be able to go in as a wild card. I say all that to say this. He blasted through the course. I mean, blasted. It was a great run. I don't know what happened the first 2 times, but it was a great run. So 16, 17 years old. Now I know you're going to laugh at me. If the warrior goddess was here, she'd probably pop me upside the head. Maybe, I don't know. So, if you've ever watched American Ninja Warrior, then you know they got to hit the buzzer. He hits the buzzer, drops to his knees, cries like a baby. He just won. He pulled what we would call in many sports, athletic event. I don't know that A&W is a sport. Maybe it is. I like it. I can't do any of it. But he had an upset and he's crying like a baby. Celebrate your win. But really? Now, this is from somebody who cries every time I see the NYPD Blue scene where Sipowicz gets promoted. I cry every single time. This is from somebody who cries when I tell the story of number 5 getting lost and why it's important to have a plan and why people lose their minds, which is what we all did. And we were trained professionals. We lost our mind for a brief moment because we lost him. But I mean, really? And I would also ask this kid, he pointed the sandwich at, it was a lunch. I guarantee you could see it was a sandwich. He didn't realize what it was. He might have laughed. I bet he did laugh. I'm willing to bet you he may very well have laughed. But nevertheless, for violating the school's disciplinary policy, a 6-year-old with autism for pointing a sandwich at another kid was suspended. Are you kidding me? Suspended. He too has made drawings over the course of his career at school. How long has that been? What, 2 years? Maybe, if he did kindergarten. He's made hunting drawings, handgun gestures. He has been disciplined for all of that. 15 suspensions, 24 or more disciplinary actions in a year, just over a year and a half. 15 suspensions for a 6-year-old child. The kid, remember now, the kid is autistic. His parents say he now struggles to make friends, feels isolated. He refers to himself as a bad kid because how he is treated by his peers and the school environment. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody wants to hear this, but the parents, they seem to be dealing with this properly. But this is a budding active killer in the making. Remember the 6-year-old who brought the gun to school and shot his teacher in Virginia? Largely because school administration did not pat him down. They checked his backpack, wasn't in his backpack. He had it. And he had, if it was ever in his backpack, he had the presence of mind to take it out before he went to the principal's office. So there were people who said things. And I don't know if there was an SRO at the school. I don't remember if there was. I don't remember the story. I don't think there was. But if ever there was a time to call the SRO, it was that right there. If ever was a time for an SRO to pat a kid down, that was it. Perfectly legitimate, perfectly legal. Instead, a teacher got shot. Now, story goes on, and this is off Fox News Digital, that this young man, 6 years old, autistic, he has pushed another student in PE, duh. He hit a classmate with a branch. Okay, drawing a pilgrim shooting a turkey for Thanksgiving. How do we get the turkey? I'm just asking a question. Parents say they don't talk about weapons and guns and all in the home, but they can't control what happens when he goes other places. Okay, all right, that's fair. Uh, Etc. It took a year and a half, they say, before the school approved his IEP, individualized education plan. If you don't know what that is, I've been involved with two kids that had him, and for the most part, the educators just ignore him. And of course, the school district does what every school district does, what every politician does, and it drives me crazy. They refuse to get into specific details, but encourage a review of the boy's complete disciplinary history and the full context surrounding the situation rather than focusing on one isolated event. Well, here's the deal. He's 6 years old. He has autism and he's being suspended 15 times in a year and a half when he should have had an IEP at the very beginning. And again, uh, yeah, took a year and a half for the school approved his IEP. I don't know. I don't remember the schools our kids were in having to approve it. Uh, they probably did. Uh, but it seems to me that we got it. And in one school, to be fair, they suggested it. We followed all their instructions and got it, and they were actually pretty good. But looking at the complete disciplinary history is irrelevant. This young man has certainly behavioral problems as a result of autism. But I don't think for a minute that he is dangerous. Not now, not yet. But I mean, come on, really? That is what you're going to do? All right. So when we come back, I'm going to figure out how to do the share the video. We're going to watch the video. It's 9 minutes long. There's a disclaimer on the front. I didn't see anything that I thought was particularly triggering or upsetting, but that's just me. And then we're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it, I'm not going to stop and start and stop and start. We're going to watch it. Then we're going to talk about it. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. The Idaho video is next, right when we come back. And we are back. We're going to be hopefully I did this so you can see it. Hopefully I did it right. And so here we go. Well, maybe not. Okay, hold on 1 second here. I thought I had this all ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to try it again. We're going to do it this way. Here we go.
2026 at 2:29 p.m., Twin Falls Dispatch received a 911 call reporting an active shooter incident at the In and Out restaurant located at 1965 Blue Lakes Boulevard North in Twin Falls, Idaho. Twin Falls police officers responded as the primary law enforcement agency alongside Twin Falls Fire, Magic Valley Paramedics, Idaho State Police, Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office, and numerous other area partners. 3 people were killed, and 7 additional victims suffered gunshot wounds. The gunmen died at the scene from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The video you are about to see contains video and audio from an active shooter incident involving multiple fatalities and injured victims. The video has been edited for length and clarity. Portions have been muted, blurred, paused, or omitted to protect privacy and to avoid releasing graphic material. This video contains content that may be disturbing or traumatic for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The gunman arrives at the drive-thru in a white Honda Civic. When he reaches the payment window, the gunman shoots the first victim, Ashley Garibay, who later succumbed to her injuries at the hospital. The gunman proceeds in the drive-thru, parking his car. He then shoots the second victim, Christopher Claunch, in his vehicle, who is pronounced dead at the scene. Former Twin Falls police officer and former Idaho State Police trooper, Austin James, runs towards the incident where he encounters the gunmen and is the 3rd victim shot. Mr. James retreats and draws his handgun, preparing to engage the gunmen. Due to his severe injury and blood loss, he is pulled back into his vehicle and given aid before going to the hospital. The gunman returns to the payment window and observes employees rendering aid to Ashley. He fires into the window a second time before his handgun jams, and he returns to his vehicle to retrieve a rifle. Inside the restaurant, an off-duty Idaho State Police trooper assists in evacuating patrons and employees while he searches for the threat. With the rifle, the gunman runs back to the drive-thru and fires at nearby patrons before returning to the payment window for a 3rd time. The off-duty ISP trooper and the gunman exchange fire. The gunman retreats before returning to the payment window for a 4th time, firing inside and striking the 4th victim, a Good Samaritan who is attempting to assist the off-duty trooper and render aid to the victim inside. The gunman proceeds to the food window. Upon seeing no one inside, he moves on. In the drive-thru, a woman fleeing from inside the restaurant runs alongside the building before encountering the gunmen. She takes cover behind his vehicle and picks up the handgun he left behind. Discovering it is jammed, she discards the pistol as she runs away and the gunman walks towards Blue Lakes Boulevard North. The gunman fires at multiple vehicles that are stopped at a red light, striking 3 victims. A Good Samaritan with a handgun engages the gunman who is running north towards the Tesla charging station. The gunman shoots the 8th victim in the first Tesla. He then shoots the 3rd deceased victim, Dale Schultz, and his passenger, the 10th victim, in the second Tesla. The gunman proceeds through the parking lot towards the Twin Falls Visitors Center. He is seen by people inside who evacuate the store. The first officer arrives on scene. The off-duty ISP trooper directs him towards the gunmen. Three people in the visitors center are unable to evacuate and shelter inside as the gunman enters. Employees from nearby stores evacuate to the walking trail, believing the gunman is in the front parking lot. The gunman exits the visitors center and proceeds to the trail where he encounters 2 employees. One bravely engages with the gunman, allowing others coming down the trail time to turn around escape. As they separate, the gunman fires towards the employee.
Excuse me.
He then runs up the path as officers approach. Officers pursue up the trail searching the pathway, construction site, and canyon edge while receiving reports of a possible second gunman.
Hey, police! Can you hear me? Okay, you see a man? Where'd he go? That way? He's going by TJ Maxx. He went that way.
Between the construction site and Petco, an officer locates the gunman off the trail.
Hey! Show me your hands!
As the officer challenges him, the suspect dies of a self-inflicted gunshot wound and falls into the canyon. Officers immediately begin to investigate claims of a second gunman and return to render aid to victims alongside the firefighters, paramedics, and other personnel. The Twin Falls Police Department is certain that additional acts of heroism and rendering aid to those in need contributed to the saving of lives. This remains an active case. Twin Falls police detectives continue to investigate alongside our partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho State Police, and many other area, state, and federal agencies.
All right, so this, I don't know what that is. Hold on.
I don't know where
time went. I don't know where. Forgive me, that was a technical error. It happens. It happens. It happens in newsrooms, TV, and radio all the time. I know exactly what happened, although to be fair, I did not know that the app I have would do that. So now I know. All right. So let me say at the outset, this is not a criticism of anything or anybody at Twin Falls. This was a positive incident, in my humble opinion. Now, yeah, there are 4 dead. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But overall, people did what they ought to be doing, and at least two concealed carry people, although it might have been the same one. I've only heard about one civilian carrying a gun, but he talked in there that there was 2 engagements with people. But anyway, it's Idaho. What do you expect, right? Or maybe it's Idaho and you should expect that. So you need to be careful. But what can you learn from this? What do you need to understand? All right. Drive-throughs. Now, you saw that long line of cars pretty much front to back with no room, if any, between them. Why do you do that? Why do you do that at a traffic light or a stop sign? You need to leave room for your vehicle to get out. Okay. Now, some of those drive-throughs, you've got to go straight. I mean, or backwards. You're not going to be able to go through because that's where the speaker system is and all. But you leave room. Leave room whenever. Well, leave room all the time, even if it means that you're not going to be able to get your car out efficiently. Don't be front to back, front to back, front to back. Then you got no room at all. All right. Always leave room. How much room? Half a car length, probably, but still room enough for you to make an exit if it is at all possible. Number 2, and I say again, not a criticism, but it appears to me, and again, if I'm wrong, let me know, that the killer went from where his car was to the, I guess, food window, as they were calling it, where he shot that guy. Now, okay, admittedly, we got the radio on. We may have rolled the windows up after we ordered. We got people in the car, maybe, but there was room for that first car in the drive-through to haul ass, assuming they heard and then understood what it is that was going on. There just was. Now, I know we get into freeze, flight, or flop, I think is now being called. All right. And a lot of people freeze, but you can't. You have to think about, what am I going to do if? All the time. Play it over in your mind. What are we going to do when you get to the drive-through? What are we going to do if? How is that going to work? Now, he shoots the guy at the food window. Then he comes back to the pay window. Now, if you can't see the gun, then what are you looking at? And I have to ask, if there's any criticism at all, it's this right here. Why didn't the person at the front of the drive-through line, okay, behind his car, not right into him? Now, you might not have saved the young girl he shot through the window. But you'd have taken him out, and there had only been one, well, I guess two fatalities. I'm not sure why somebody did that. Didn't do that. No, I understand how we feel emotionally. I understand how we feel about taking a life. Not everybody's prepared to do that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there comes a time when that may be exactly what you have to do. That may be exactly what your children have to do. Your spouse has to do. You need to have those conversations. If that means you need to have a religious conversation with your pastor or priest, then you need to do that. The guy in the front of the window, as that video demonstrated, I believe could have ended it right there. They made the decision not to for whatever reason. And we've already talked about the retired state patrol officer who chose not to draw his weapon initially. Okay, again, as we said, I think it was last week, that is a personal choice. I understand why he didn't. It probably was the right choice in that moment because he did certainly draw after he was shot. But here's the takeaway from that. If you are a concealed carrier, carry your weapon. Why do you have a permit, or why do you choose to open carry if you're in an open carry state and then choose not to carry? If you are an off-duty cop, trust me, I know what they say. Have a life, don't be a cop 24/7, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you are a cop. You're qualified. You're trained. Carry your damn gun. Now, what else you choose to carry? And there are articles that will tell you, particularly if you're an off-duty cop or if you're going to carry a gun, you need to carry your badge. I agree with that. And then you need to carry handcuffs or some other way to secure somebody that you might have to take action against. Okay, there are flex cuffs, there are cloth cuffs that will work until the cavalry gets there, or carry your handcuffs. If you are a concealed carrier, like we saw in Twin Falls, Idaho, practice, train, be prepared, and then do what you have to do if you have to do it. That made a difference. The off-duty Idaho state trooper who came through the window, bless his heart, I couldn't have done that. I couldn't physically have done it. But who came through the window and helping those employees get out of the way. Brilliant. And then engaging with the guy. The guy came back to the window 4 times. There were people other than the Idaho trooper who could have done something, and they didn't. Again, maybe that's my only criticism, and maybe that isn't even worthy, but they could have done something and they didn't. Now, the woman exiting the store. And again, I'm offering this for things for you to think about, to talk with to your family. Now, when something like this happens, there is some auditory exclusion that occurs. There's tunnel vision that occurs. Doesn't necessarily happen to everybody, but it happens to most people. Now, I am not a fan of shelter in place. even 2026, that seems to be what we are training people to do, particularly students, employees, and things of that nature. I'm not a big fan of that. If you can get out, you need to get out. My concern, and again, well aware of what happens to people's senses when something like this occurs. But if you have full frontal face vision, full frontal face vision, and you can see that there doesn't seem to be a problem in front of you, there doesn't seem to be what you're hearing. And obviously she heard it and knew what it was. Now again, auditory exclusion. You're not sure where the sounds are coming from. I get that completely. But you hit the front door and you look right and you look left and you don't see anybody, you don't see anything. Get the hell out of there straight. Why are you going turn around to go toward the gunfire? You're not a first responder. And apparently you're not prepared to be an immediate responder. It's not a criticism. That is not a criticism. Okay. If you don't know how to fix it, I'm going to assume she is a gun carrier or sits around guns, because the narrator said realizing it was jammed. So you need to know how to try to clear a jam. She too could have gotten into the fight if that was her point. Praise God for the civilian that chose to stop and talk to him. I read a very brief interview with him. He was nervous, but he gave others around him time to go. He missed. He got shot at, and the guy missed. But he slowed him down. Now, we've all heard the debate about electric vehicles. This is not that. I have my own opinion about electric vehicles. I had it during the Biden administration. I have it now. And I think, with the possible exception of Tesla, we were right, most of us. Now, the automakers don't want to admit it. Some of the politicians don't want to admit it, but we were right. Let's be honest. But if you have an electric vehicle, I'll go again, excuse me, and you're going to take it, you're going to use public chargers, if you can find one, if you can find one that works, get out of the car. Now, there are various reports, I assume this is still the case, that, some of these charges that say an hour to a full charge or 45 minutes or whatever, that it's longer than that. Okay. And there may not even be any place to sit, but get out of the car. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, we'd have had these things. We might not have been saying that. But right here, right now in 2026, August of 2026, you need to get out of that car. You are a sitting duck should something happen. Sitting duck. Get out of the car. You've got an opportunity to get out of the You've got an opportunity if you're out of the car. You have no opportunity if you are sitting in the car. Now, if I may, let me go back to the woman that ran out and around. Again, I am not a big fan of shelter in place. I think that's frankly the worst of the three options. And of course, I'm not a big fan of run, hide, fight. The training, at least the old school, the old training, maybe a little better now. But you'll notice the first one was run. Again, I think we emphasized hide too much, but you certainly don't want to run in the direction. If you don't know where the problem is coming from, then your best bet might very well be shelter in place. Don't cower. Get behind the table, look for something that offers cover, maybe even concealment. Look for something that can be a weapon. If you're in a restaurant, there are plenty of things that could be a weapon. And be prepared to fight if you're not going to run. But here again, as she hits the front door, if she looks left and she looks right, and she doesn't see the problem, get the hell out of there straight. Leave your car. Get out of the fast food line, the order line. Well, I may wreck my car. Well, would you rather wreck your car and be alive or have your car perfectly pristine and be dead? Your call. Cars can be repaired. Cars can be replaced. Can your spouse? Can your kids? Can you? All right. That's it. That's all for this episode of Your Security Guys 2.0. Next week, we're going to talk about the cluster that is Flock. And we're going to talk about, I don't know, a nurse that, by golly, he was not going to be screwed with. And young people stealing cars. And I mean young people. As Luke on Fubar says, that's it, that's all. Let's be careful out there and remember to do it to them before they can do it to you. We are out of here.